Good morning, champions. Before you reach for your phony, before the stress, the noise, the demands of the day flood your mind, pause. Breathe. Look around and give thanks. Because the way you start your day is the way your day starts you. And when you start with gratitude, you don't just raise your mood. You raise your vibration. You awaken a power inside you that no bad news, no traffic jam, no toxic person can take away. Gratitude is not just a feeling, it's a force. A force that magnetizes joy, success, peace, and favor into your life. Let me show you how to turn your mornings into a spiritual engine of positive energy rituals that will carry you through the day, empowered and unshakable. When you open your eyes in the morning, you are handed the greatest gift life can offer, a brand new beginning. A clean slate. Another opportunity to think, to act, to grow. Yet, how many people squander this gift by immediately allowing their minds to be hijacked by fear, stress, or frustration? They reach for their phones. They compare. They react. They scroll through bad news, check for problems, and instantly plant the seeds of worry before their feet even touch the floor. That's not living. That's existing on autopilot. But there is a better way, a powerful way, and it begins with a shift so simple, yet so revolutionary, it can completely transform your entire reality, starting your day with gratitude. Gratitude is not something reserved for when everything is going right. It's not a reward. It's not the result of success. It's the beginning of it. Gratitude is a discipline, a practice, a decision. It's a mental attitude that opens the doors to everything good life has to offer. When you choose to begin your day from a place of gratitude, you begin to train your subconscious mind to focus on what's working rather than what's broken. And when you do that, you begin to alter the frequency you send out into the world. Most people don't realize this, but your thoughts carry energy. The dominant thoughts you hold in your mind influence everything from the way you feel to the actions you take, and eventually, the results you get. So imagine the power of beginning every morning not with complaints, not with lack, not with anxiety, but with sincere, heartfelt gratitude. That mental vibration calls to you more of the very things you appreciate. What you concentrate on intensifies. What you dwell on grows. This is not just positive thinking. This is applied power. This is how you become the master of your destiny instead of a prisoner of your circumstances. You are not bound by what happened yesterday. You are not defined by what's missing in your life. You are shaped by the thoughts you plant and the feelings you nurture the moment you wake up. A grateful mind is a magnet for abundance. When you wake up and say, "Thank you," before you even say, "What now?" you step into a new rhythm of power. You tell life, "I am ready. I am present. I am aligned." And life responds to that energy. You may be thinking, "But I don't have everything I want yet. I'm still struggling." And that's exactly the point. Gratitude isn't about ignoring struggle. It's about transcending it. When you learn to be thankful for what is, even while reaching for what could be, you turn struggle into strength. You turn obstacles into stepping stones. This is where so many people get stuck. They wait for the money to show up before they feel grateful. They wait for the relationship, the job, the breakthrough before they choose to praise. But gratitude is not a reaction, it's a creator. If you want more to be thankful for, you have to start being thankful now. Not someday. Not when things improve. But today. You may not be where you want to be, but you're not where you used to be. You've overcome storms. You've survived setbacks. You've learned, grown, and risen again and again. That alone is something to honor. That alone is fuel for gratitude. Now here's where the magic multiplies. Gratitude, when practiced with intention, doesn't just stay inside you. It begins to radiate outward. It influences your posture, your tone, your decisions, your relationships. It affects how you show up in the world. It fuels clarity, boosts creativity, and ignites confidence. And the simplest way to harness this force every single morning, create a ritual. Something that anchors you. Something that programs your mind for positivity before the noise of the world gets a chance to program it for fear. Set a time. Set a space. Make it sacred. 5 minutes is all you need. Grab a notebook or open a journal and write 3 things you're grateful for. Don't rush through it. Don't make it mechanical. Feel it. Let your heart speak. One morning, it might be your family. Another day, it could be the roof over your head. It could be the quiet. The sunrise, the strength to keep going. The peace you fought so hard to reclaim. Speak these things out loud. Let your voice carry the power of your praise. You're not just listing blessings. You're activating a new mental pattern. You're reconditioning your mind to expect joy, to welcome prosperity, to recognize divine timing. The repetition is key. Because the mind is like a gardening whatever seeds you sow, water, and protect will eventually grow. If you water bitterness, anger, or resentment, you harvest frustration. But if you plant thankfulness, if you repeat appreciation, if you water joy, you cultivate a life that reflects those very vibrations. You don't need $1 million in the bank to start this ritual. You don't need all the answers or a perfect life. What you need is the decision to tune into the frequency of abundance before the world tempts you to fall into lack. This morning ritual becomes your armor, your lighthouse, your compass. It reminds you who you are and what you already have, before the world tries to tell you what you're missing. And here's the deeper truth: as you do this consistently, you begin to influence your subconscious mind. That's the part of you that drives 95% of your daily actions. It's the root system. It's the programming behind the curtain. And when your subconscious becomes saturated with gratitude, it automatically begins to reject scarcity, reject fear, and reject failure. You'll begin to notice that you worry less, you complain less, you fear less. Why? Because you've retrained the inner world to see opportunity instead of crisis, favor instead of fear, solutions instead of problems. That's how powerful this ritual is. You won't just wake up differently. You'll live differently. You'll speak with more intention. You'll give without needing recognition. You'll walk into rooms with a glow that cannot be bought or borrowed, because gratitude gives you a glow. It's an aura, a magnetic field that others can sense even before you open your mouth. And here's another key: the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. Gratitude becomes your default setting, your autopilot, your new normal. And once that happens, your energy begins to magnetize. You start attracting experiences, people, and ideas that match the vibration you carry. Ever wonder why some people seem to catch every break? Why doors open for them with ease? It's not always luck. Often, it's alignment. They've aligned their mental attitude with the kind of life they want to live. They've trained their thoughts to support their goals, not sabotage them. And gratitude plays a foundational role in that alignment. You can do the same. You are not excluded from this power. You are not disqualified because of past mistakes or current challenges or how long it's taken. Every morning you are offered the chance to start again, to create your own inner economy of joy and peace, regardless of what the external economy looks like. Gratitude is the fastest way to take back control of your energy. It costs nothing, yet gives you everything. It strengthens your imagination, unlocks your faith, sharpens your perception, and feeds your resilience. And once this becomes a lifestyle, it begins to overflow into every part of your existence. You become someone who doesn't just say thank you out of politeness, but someone who lives thankfulness. Someone who exudes trust, who walks with boldness, who doesn't panic when things go wrong, because you've trained your spirit to stay grounded. Let others rush into the world with worry. Let others drown in stress and confusion. You, on the other hand, will rise in clarity, in peace, and in purpose, because you've chosen a higher frequency from the very beginning of the day. You've made your mind a sacred space. You've chosen gratitude not just as a feeling, but as a foundation. And once your foundation is rooted in appreciation, you can build anything. Success, wealth, love, peace. All of it grows better when planted in the soil of gratitude. So tomorrow morning, when the alarm goes off and the sun breaks through your window, don't just wake up. Rise. Rise with thanks in your heart and power in your mind. Look life in the face and say, thank you. Not because everything is perfect, but because gratitude is how you build the life that will be. Have you ever walked into a room and felt the atmosphere change before anyone said a word? Maybe someone walked in and the whole mood shifted. People stood taller. Smiles widened. There was something different about that person, not because of what they wore or who they knew, but because of the energy they carried. That's not coincidence. That's not charisma. That's conscious cultivation. Your energy introduces you before your words ever do. And the energy you carry is a direct reflection of the thoughts you dwell on, the emotions you nurture, and the rituals you keep. When you begin your day rooted in gratitude, you don't just feel better. You transmit power. You project certainty. You radiate peace. That's the real wealth. That's the currency that opens doors. Most people spend their mornings reacting. They hit snooze until the last possible second. They rush into the day half awake, already feeling behind, already drained before anything meaningful has even begun. And then they wonder why the day overwhelms them. But there is a different way, a higher way, a way that doesn't begin with noise and stress, but with inner alignment. Gratitude is more than a feel-good practice. It is a force that fine-tunes your vibration. It places you in harmony with the good that is already around you and the good that is trying to reach you. It calibrates your spirit. And that calibration is what creates your energy field, what others sense before they know your name. If you fill your morning with complaints, fear, or regret, that's the scent your energy leaves behind. But if you fill it with appreciation, peace, and expectancy, that's the fragrance you carry. And people are drawn to that like flowers to sunlight. The invisible becomes visible. That's how the universe works. You can't fake energy. You can fake a smile, sure, but your energy will always tell the truth. Your energy broadcasts your inner world, and gratitude is how you beautify that world before anyone else ever sees it. When you begin each morning with appreciation for what is, no matter how small, you activate a higher intelligence within. You unlock clarity. You unlock calm. You take control of the tone of your day before anyone else has a chance to. Your energy will either reflect chaos or create calm. It will either repel or attract. And gratitude is the switch that determines the current. The greatest mistake most people make is believing their energy is fixed, that they have no control over how they feel or how they show up. But energy is not fixed. It's a tool. It's a discipline. It's a resource you either squander or strengthen. You get to choose. If you choose gratitude first thing in the morning, you begin the day as the thermostat, not the thermometer. You set the temperature, you don't react to it. That one shift changes everything. Your relationships become more harmonious. Your conversations become more impactful. Your leadership becomes magnetic. Why? Because energy doesn't lie. And when your energy is rooted in appreciation, people feel safe, seen, and inspired in your presence. Don't wait for perfect circumstances to carry grateful energy. That's backwards thinking. Carry grateful energy, and you'll find that circumstances begin to bend in your favor. You become a magnet, not by force, but by frequency. Life begins to echo your inner state. And here's where it gets even more powerful. The more consistently you do this, the more automatic it becomes. Your brain starts to recognize gratitude as your default mode. It's not a forced practice, it's who you are. You walk differently, you speak differently. Not because you're pretending, but because you've practiced. And now your energy walks into the room before you do, and prepares the atmosphere for your arrival. Now understand this, gratitude isn't passive. It's creative. It doesn't just make you feel good. It makes you effective. It sharpens your intuition. It elevates your awareness. It brings to mind solutions that fear would have hidden from you. Because when you're grateful, you're no longer functioning in survival mode. You're functioning in expansion mode. You're no longer focused on what might go wrong. You're focused on what's already going right. And from that place, you become more resourceful, more courageous, more confident. People will ask, what is it about you? Why do you always seem centered? How do you stay so grounded? And you'll smile, because you'll know the answer. It's not luck. It's not talent. It's practice. It's a morning ritual of gratitude that turned into a lifestyle of personal power. You see, when you live from this space, life becomes less about effort and more about alignment. You don't chase, because you attract. You don't panic, because you prepare. You don't shrink, because you know what you carry. Gratitude becomes your shield and your sword. It protects your peace and it opens doors. And it multiplies the very things you give thanks for, which leads us to a truth that changes everything. What you appreciate appreciates. The law is simple. Whatever you consistently give energy to, grows. If you focus on problems, you invite more problems. If you fixate on what's missing, you experience more lack. But if you pour your focus into gratitude, you multiply good. Think about this. When you give sincere appreciation to someone, whether it's a friend, a coworker, a stranger, what happens? Their energy shifts. Their posture lifts. Something awakens. That's the power of being acknowledged. And the same is true in the spiritual realm. When you acknowledge the good in your life, when you appreciate it, not just once, but daily, it begins to respond. It begins to expand. You don't have to see the whole staircase to appreciate the first step. You don't need all the puzzle pieces to give thanks for the few you have. When you're faithful with little, you prepare yourself for more. Gratitude primes you for abundance. It tells your subconscious mind, I have enough. I see enough. I am enough. And that's the signal that unlocks new levels of provision. Most people misunderstand this principle. They think success comes from striving, hustling, competing. But true success is the result of alignment. It's about vibrational integrity. It's about matching the frequency of the life you want to live. And nothing aligns you faster than gratitude. You want more favor. Start by thanking for the favor you already have. You want more peace. Celebrate the moments of peace you've already experienced. You want financial breakthrough. Appreciate every dollar you've earned, every lesson you've learned, every opportunity you've been given, even if it's small, because what you don't appreciate exits your life. But what you do appreciate, it clings to you. It multiplies. It circles back with more. This is not fantasy. This is law, spiritual law, mental law, success law. And those who understand it rise, while those who ignore it chase endlessly, never realizing they're pushing away the very things they desire. You don't need to fight for what's already yours. You need to align with it. You need to become the person who would naturally attract it. And gratitude is how you become that person. It's the inner work that leads to the outer reward. Now here's a deeper layer of this principle. When you start giving thanks not just for what you see, but for what you expect, you enter the realm of faith. You step into creation. You begin speaking into existence the very outcomes you desire, and those declarations, when fueled by gratitude, carry extraordinary power. You can begin your day by saying, I'm grateful for the favor that's finding me. I'm thankful for the ideas being downloaded into my spirit. I praise the growth that's happening in silence. When you say these things with conviction, you begin forming reality with your words. You tap into a dimension that is shaped not by what is, but by what can be. And guess what? Your energy begins to shift even more. You become future-focused yet present-anchored. You stop being reactive and start being intentional. And intention is where transformation begins. People will think you're lucky. They'll say, it always seems to work out for you. But they won't see the quiet mornings, the handwritten gratitude lists, the whispered thank yous, the sacred discipline behind the results. You will know. You'll know that your life didn't change by accident. It changed by decision. A decision to start each day on the frequency of appreciation, not complaint, of belief, not fear, of abundance, not lack. And from that decision, you'll begin to experience momentum. Things will align, ideas will spark, resources will flow, because your energy field will become an invitation to the extraordinary. So don't underestimate this. Don't skip your gratitude ritual. Don't rush through your mornings like they don't matter. Your mornings are the doorway. They are the launch pad. They are the secret to showing up each day with a presence that can't be ignored and a spirit that cannot be shaken. Let the world operate in noise and reaction. You'll rise in alignment and intention. You'll walk with energy that speaks louder than any introduction ever could. Because you started with gratitude, and that changed everything. There's a reason some people seem to always be in the right place at the right time. A reason why opportunities fall into their laps, why doors open for them, why they speak and others listen, why they sense when to move forward and when to hold back. It's not luck. It's not chance. It's because they've learned how to listen. They've trained themselves to tune into a voice deeper than noise, a signal quieter than logic. They've awakened their inner guidance system. And that guidance system, the one that leads you to the right people, the right paths, the right moments, is activated most clearly in a state of gratitude. When the mind is anxious, cluttered with fear or doubt, it's difficult to discern what's truly right for you. But when the heart is anchored in appreciation, clarity rises. Your intuition sharpens. You begin to know without needing to analyze. You sense without needing confirmation. Gratitude doesn't just change how you feel. It changes how you perceive. It's like polishing the lens through which you see the world. Suddenly, that vague hunch becomes a bold insight. That subtle pull becomes a clear direction. You don't need to force answers. They come to you. You don't chase solutions. They reveal themselves. And it's not magic. It's mental science. Your subconscious mind, the part of you that never sleeps, never forgets, always processes, is constantly scanning your environment for cues. But when you begin your day with gratitude, you feed it positive expectation. You give it permission to see the good, to find the way, to recognize the open door. This is why some people seem almost prophetic in their choices. They trust that inner whisper. They act when it says go. They pause when it says wait. And it rarely leads them astray. Why? Because they are operating on a higher frequency, a frequency that gratitude unlocked. Now imagine stepping into your day not with anxiety, but with alignment. Not with confusion, but with certainty. Imagine making decisions not out of pressure, but out of peace. That's what happens when you start your morning by thanking life for its guidance before it even shows up. You're not just reacting to the day. You're communing with it. You're co-creating with the unseen forces that shape your path. And here's the part most people miss: that guidance often comes disguised. Sometimes it's a delay that saves you. Sometimes it's a missed connection that protects you. Sometimes it's a random thought that turns into a breakthrough. But when you're living in gratitude, you don't complain about the delay. You sense its purpose. You don't resist the redirection. You trust its wisdom. You become aware, attuned, present. Not because you read more books or collected more data, but because you chose to be grateful. And that opened your spiritual perception. There is intelligence within you that knows more than your conscious mind. It sees patterns. It anticipates consequences. It senses vibrations. And gratitude brings you into harmony with that intelligence. It's like fine-tuning a radio. You eliminate the static, and suddenly the music is crystal clear. And when you live from that place, you become a force in the world. Your choices carry weight. Your words carry depth. Your timing is uncanny, because you're not relying on surface-level logic. You're listening to something deeper, something truer. This is not superstition. This is personal power. The people who change the world don't do it with noise. They do it with clarity. They do it with conviction. They do it with a calm fire that comes from knowing. Not hoping, but knowing. They're on the right path. And that knowing is available to anyone who's willing to quiet the fear and listen to the wisdom that gratitude awakens. When you appreciate life, life speaks to you. It guides you. It warns you. And those nudges, they are golden. They lead to miracles. They lead to favor. They lead to moments you couldn't have planned, but that were prepared for you. Which brings us to a truth that is empowering as it is humbling. Your life is not random. It is responding to your thoughts, responding to your vibration, responding to the energy you send into the field around you. And when that energy is one of thankfulness, the world reflects it back in the form of unexpected blessings, synchronicities, and divine timing. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are a creator of outcomes. And the tool of your creation is not struggle. It is gratitude. It is the most underutilized key to personal transformation, yet it is always within reach. When you begin each day with gratitude, you not only set the tone, you set the trajectory. You train your subconscious mind to expect good things. You teach your nervous system to stay calm under pressure. You instruct your mind to look for possibilities rather than problems. And here's what's wilding: the more you do this, the more momentum you build. One grateful thought leads to another. One positive expectation leads to a favorable outcome. One inspired decision leads to a door that swings wide open. Success is no longer a grind. It becomes a rhythm. This is what it means to live on purpose instead of by accident. It means waking up and declaring, today I lead with appreciation. Today, I open myself to inspired ideas. Today I move with inner knowing, not out of pressure. And when you make that your ritual, you're no longer at the mercy of moods or markets or other people's opinions. You've tapped into a deeper source. You're no longer just hoping for a good day. You're authoring it. You're not waiting for signs. You are the sign, and people feel it. They feel your calm. They feel your confidence. They may not know why, but they're drawn to it. Because alignment is magnetic. That's the real power of gratitude. It aligns you with peace, with creativity, with courage. And those forces are what produce results. Now let's talk about the deeper layer. What happens when you don't just feel grateful, but when you act from that place? When gratitude becomes your operating system, your decisions improve. You no longer act from desperation. You act from vision. You no longer say yes out of fear. You say yes from alignment. You stop chasing what isn't yours, and you start attracting what is. That's not theory. That's law. The world bends for the person who has no need to prove, impress, or grasp, because that person is already full. And fullness is what makes you powerful. When you're full of appreciation, full of trust, full of belief, you don't need to manipulate. You don't need to control. You don't need to push. You move with grace, and things begin to flow toward you instead of away from you. This is where outcomes become intentional. You stop waiting to see how things unfold. You start shaping how they unfold, not through force, but through focus. You begin your morning visualizing the outcome you want, and you give thanks as if it's already yours. It's not pretending. That's programming. Your mind doesn't know the difference between what is vividly imagined and what is actually experienced. So when you flood it with images of success, backed by the feeling of gratitude, you are teaching your system to expect that outcome. And expected outcomes are far more likely to become realized ones. Why? Because your beliefs influence your behavior. Your behavior shapes your habits. Your habits build your results. It all starts with the dominant emotion you carry. And when that emotion is gratitude, your entire system begins working for you. You walk into rooms differently. You speak with conviction. You listen with depth. You spot chances others miss. You recover faster from setbacks. You no longer sabotage your own growth because you believe you deserve what you're receiving. That's what gratitude does. It removes the inner resistance to success. It dissolves the unconscious guilt, the self-doubt, the quiet fear that says, maybe I'm not worthy. It replaces it with, thank you, I receive this fully. And that shift, it changes the game. You no longer repel good things with unworthiness. You welcome them with readiness. You no longer question your gifts. You deploy them with confidence. You no longer delay your progress. You accelerate it with intention. And all of this begins, not with effort, but with awareness. Not with hustle, but with appreciation. Not with striving, but with aligning. Gratitude is not just a morning ritual. It's a daily revolution. It flips your perspective. It shifts your vibration. It unlocks your genius. It is the foundation of personal power, the root of mental clarity, the spark of inspired action. And when you live from it, you don't just create better days, you create a better life. Because gratitude isn't just how you feel, it's who you become.